Welcome to Topic 1 of Block 1, which will introduce some key background to evaluation, describing what it is and why we do it. Huge enthusiasm for interventions or innovations to improve healthcare, but these are often taken up without testing. And even if they have been tested, there's still a need to evaluate how to implement these interventions in different contexts. Evaluation is part of ensuring that efforts to improve healthcare are done on the basis of evidence for whether or not how they work. One definition of evaluation that we find helpful is making a comparative assessment of the value of the intervention using systematically collected and analysed data in order to decide how to act. While there are different versions of evaluation definitions, we think that important key points are firstly that evaluation is a process. It's not a one-off thing that happens at the end, but it can start at the outset of developing an intervention and continue after its implementation with ongoing monitoring and follow-up. Secondly, that evaluation always aims to determine the impact of activities and or the context in which those activities have or do not have their intended impact. And thirdly, that evaluation is about informing decision making to help us understand what action should be taken next. There are several interlinked reasons for evaluating a programme, intervention or activity, and some may be more pertinent than others at any one time. Evaluation helps inform decisions about how best to allocate resources, which interventions are most effective at addressing clinical, managerial or other priorities, and can help identify which aspects of a particular intervention work best. It can help identify which aspects are most cost effective in order to help you decide how to best allocate staff, time, money and other resources. Demonstrating effectiveness of a programme can also be a means of securing funding. It can help to identify which aspects of a particular intervention work best and how to improve programmes or projects, and to understand whether and how amendments might influence the impact of activities. They can also give intervention designers and other stakeholders more confidence in what's been done already and to improve accountability. Most importantly, evaluating health interventions, programmes or activities ultimately improves knowledge and decision making for health practitioners, managers and organisations on best practice, whether to continue, amend or discontinue the intervention. There are several aspects of health services and interventions which can be evaluated, and for the purposes of this course we'll focus on outcomes or impacts and processes, but economics evaluations are also highly important to decision making. Perhaps commonly when people think of evaluation, they think of testing whether or not a particular intervention works. Evaluations, or parts of evaluations which focus on effectiveness, look at the outcomes of the intervention. In other words, what impact did the intervention have on the desired goals, and what are all the effects of the intervention for each group, individual or organisation involved. It's important to look not just at whether an intervention works, but also how it works. Understanding how an intervention works involves evaluation of processes. This can help understanding of why something influenced outcomes in a particular way, and whether and why there are any unanticipated consequences, and what contextual factors might influence the impact of the intervention on outcomes. This is useful if a programme or service is to be upscaled or otherwise replicated elsewhere. Economic evaluations assist judgments about the value of an intervention, what resources it uses to implement, and what the resource implications of the outcomes of the intervention might be. In all cases, they attempt to quantify value, and this can be in terms of simply describing what the intervention cost to implement. It can also assess cost effectiveness, in other words, is it value for money, and it can also calculate cost benefits in order to address the question of whether the benefits of the intervention outweigh the resources involved in its implementation.